What's up, HGTV? Welcome to Cabell House. Go ahead and come on in. What's up, everybody? So this is actually the living room, and this is where all the color blasts happen. This is the space that is designed to be the happiest space in the house. So my proudest DIY, definitely for sure, was the wood slat wall. When I first moved in, I was super intimidated with what to do with this wall because it's just so big and the space was so open. So I was like, how about we build a seating area central, and then on this big wall right here, we can do a wood slat feature, which kind of ties in the woody vibes of the white oak floor, while also filling the empty space and creating visual interest. People always ask me where I got these TV consoles. So these are actually IKEA pieces that were super cheap. This is vehicle wrap. It comes in all sorts of colors. And I was thinking, I was like, if you can wrap a car, you can wrap furniture. And so I applied that mindset. I got all of this material. I think I spent $20 online. And if you're curious how to do it, I do have a video on my Instagram at Cabell House. Check it out. Coming right over here, this is absolutely the origin story. This is the OG space that started the entire journey into social media. This is how we got to where we are today. These shelves are from IKEA, super affordable. They're like $10. And I was like, well, I could get these and create a turntable space because I wanted a place to display a turntable. And I was like, okay, well, let's go ahead and get these shelves. I did a stop motion video where they kind of like ushered their way over here and then styled themselves. And that went super viral, and that was when I was just like, wow, okay, so this is actually a thing, you know? I can actually post videos and people are actually enjoying what they're seeing. Yeah, as you can see, I love lamps. There are 29 plus lamps. Actually, I lost count, but I love lamps, so. And up here, this is actually the most asked about light in the entire space. This is the Jean-Michel Basquiat crown lamp, and I thought it would look really cool centered over the turntable. It really draws emphasis onto the turntable, which was the whole reason for setting up this corner. And it was also my very first lamp in this space, so definitely love this one. Right over here, we have one of my favorite pieces. This is the piece that went super viral on Instagram. This is the MS Paint mirror. It's from a company called Came Up in the Drought. I bought this originally because I was like, oh, that's super cool. It's nostalgic. You know, it brings me back to when I used to use computers when I was a kid, and it really kind of emphasizes the fun, playfulness, and colorfulness of this space. This is a recent acquisition. A lot of people say, oh, this is unnecessary. Why would you ever have this in your living room? And my answer is, why not? Why would you not have a claw machine in your living room? It has lights and it adds a level of interactivity into the space. So yeah, when people come over, I tell them, hey, use the claw machine. Whatever you win, you can take home with you. So it adds a little bit of playfulness into the space and people can interact and have fun. And this space is all about having fun. So this is the center of the room. This is the space that kind of ties everything together. It's hard to be in this space and be sad. No matter where you look, you'll see a stuffed animal, a bunny, you'll see, you know, playful pillows, fun throws, and no matter where you look, it feels very playful. An adult playground is kind of the vibe that I go with the space, and having the green grass rug gives it that kind of playground vibe with all of the colorful furniture. I really fell in love with the Togo silhouette, or the to-go silhouette. It's, you know, the style of sofa. It's also called the caterpillar sofa. It's very playful. It's very low to the ground. So I really like the whole low to the ground vibe. And that feels like you're kind of one with the earth a little bit. You're grounded. You'll notice a lot of the colors on the TV console kind of tie into this space, and it makes everything feel cohesive. Because in a maximal, colorful, and eclectic space, sometimes it gets difficult for things to be cohesive. So I really wanted to create a sense of cohesion in what may be a very chaotic space to somebody else. What's up? This is my office. I used to be all about black, white, minimal, you know, very sterile. But as I got older, I wanted to be like, you know, I want to feel peaceful. I want to bring wood in. I want to have more nature vibes. And the first thing you notice is the wood slat wall here. I really thought the wood slats would tie in some of those nature vibes. And then adding some of the faux plants, it helps bring nature into the space, help you find that zen. The wood kind of has that white oak feel. And so, I got the desk, the shelves, and even the picture frames all kind of tie in that white oak. And that kind of became the theme. Mechanical keyboards have always been a big thing for me. And then I was like, well, I have so many, so why not put them on the wall? And now the keyboards have become decor. Part of what inspired me to start this whole journey was social media and the success on social media. So this is kind of a constant reminder that, hey mom, we made it. Every day I wake up, I'm excited to come to work, and cultivating this space really helped me create that vibe. Wanting to wake up, wanting to come in here, sit down, set my coffee down, and just enjoy the work. So this has actually become my favorite space. So this is where I work, this is where I come and sit down every single day. But if we shift over to the other side of the office, we can see the play side. I built this gaming computer. I really wanted it to have a white theme. There's so much white in the space. We have white cabinets, white speaker, white pegboards. And I really wanted to tie in the white, so I got a white case and built a white computer. Everything's very white. I do have some 3D printed filament right here and a 3D printer. I think it's great to be able to create your own decor. It's always something that you can say is completely unique to you. People are like, oh, where'd you buy that online? I didn't, I made it. This room has very limited natural light. What I really want to do is add a bunch of different interesting types of lighting. We have these 2 lights right here that hang from the ceiling. We also have a light strip right here that kind of outlines the pegboard, which kind of really creates a nice backdrop and really highlights what's on this pegboard. And over here, we have these lights here. Everybody asks me about these. These are actually called nano leaves, and they react to touch and they change colors. So you can see here, as you click on it, they change colors. All right, and this is the foyer. This is what you see when you first walk into our home. Color is a really big important thing for me because when you go through hard times in life, adulting is difficult, you're gonna get stressed out. I really wanted the home to feel like a place where you can come and just all of that kind of melts away. You look around and everything is just playful, it's fun, and you kind of forget, even if just for a moment, all of the stresses of life. So that's kind of been my major motivation in pushing for all of this color. It's very playful. I wasn't sure what to do with this gigantic space here, so I was like, well, why not get some really big, colorful prints that we can really showcase the playful vibes of Ori Tor, that's the artist. No matter where you look, there's something interesting to see. Like this looks like a rubber duck right here, and there's like little faces here. It's like a Where's Waldo, where no matter where you look, there's something fun and interesting to find. And over here, we have the floating bookshelf. It's a great place to showcase decor. I did an assembly video on Instagram, it went viral, and so it's just been a really great place to add more color, more decor, and make it very me. But let's go over here, check out the kitchen. So this is the kitchen. A lot of people like to call it the heart of the home, and it was a big selling point for when we bought this house. Having marble countertops were really important. I really like that the designer added these gold fixtures, so there's little touches of gold everywhere you look. I love the white oak cabinetry. The island is gigantic. And having a really big island was important because you're cooking, you have guests over, you want to entertain, having a place to put all the catered food is really helpful. And so you really want the kitchen, being one of the first things you see when you come in the house, to really have an impact. So originally this whole space was just wide open and I felt like just something was missing. So we did these DIY floating shelves, and I really wanted a place to display these cookie jars, and they belong to my wife's mom, who unfortunately is no longer here. So that was a great way to not only add a wood element here and tie in and fill up this empty space, but also gave us a place to display something that was so important. This is a long LED strip, and you can get these things online for $15. And to me, it just added such a nice impact here. It makes it look a lot more elevated. To me, I don't like ever having the overhead lights on, so I try and tie in little pops of lighting wherever I can just to make sure that those never go on. Over here, we have the coffee corner. I start every morning with a cup of coffee. Sometimes I want to pour over, and sometimes you want something like an espresso shot, a latte. I can't love what I do if I don't have my morning coffee. Welcome to the main bedroom. As you can see, there's a lot less color here. There's more white oak, there's more light tones, and because it's the main bedroom, keyword bedroom, I want it to feel very cozy, very inviting. When you walk in here, it should feel like you're ready to lie down, get comfy, pull out a good book, and get ready to go to bed and end your day on the right foot. These little guys, these are what we call the conversational yaks. So I call them conversational yaks because my wife and I, whenever we have a serious conversation, we like to sit on the yaks, face each other, and hash out whatever is going on. So they've become known as the conversational yaks. It really ties in some of the Japani vibes which I went for in this room. A lot of it's very European white oak, very light wood tones, you know, the beige bedding, different shades of desert rose really help add to that Japani vibe that I was going for. One thing that most houses do not have enough of are lamps. Lamps create such a nice ambiance, especially in this room. The overhead lights never come on because that immediately kills the tranquil vibe that's going on here right before you go to bed. I really like the texture of this lamp. It's got this nice soft material. People don't realize this, but the material of an object oftentimes creates a feeling. So having this nice soft textile really makes it feel cozy. And it's one of those subconscious things that you don't realize it's making it feel cozy, but it actually is. And I really love these cabinets. They tie in some of the European white oak flooring, and they also add storage space, since storage space is something that you can never have enough of. So right over here, we have what might possibly be the coziest chair ever. As you can see, you sink right into it. It is so soft, so cozy, and you could fall asleep right here. Oh, and speaking of cozy, right here we have Joe the capybara. I actually won him at a claw machine game arcade, and yeah, he's been Joe, and he just hangs out here ever since. But if I stayed here much longer, I'm gonna fall asleep. So we got a tour to do. Let's go ahead and show you the next room. Not much needs to be said, but as you can tell, this is where the gains are made. So I designed this space with a seriously strict budget in mind. So I designed this entire space, including the TV, for under $500. I took a lot of motivation for this grass wall from like bars and fun places in Midtown, because they always do these nice foliage walls. They put a neon sign on it, and then there's lots of color that I've added with these yoga mats. They don't ever get used, they're just for decoration, but they definitely look good. And as you can see here, we have another wood slat wall. It's become quite the trend around the house, but it's such an easy and affordable way to really add character to a wall. If you have empty wall space and you really want to fill it with something that ties in nature and really brings in that woody element, wood slat walls are a great and affordable way to do that. I love them, as you can see. But yeah, so this is actually a rowing machine. It's called the Hydro. You know, I think we have a little bit of time. I might get in a few reps real quick. And last but not least, we have the backyard. So we haven't done a ton to this space yet. For now, we just laid down some AstroTurf to give you a nice sitting area that's cozy. We also went ahead and did string lights, so at night it lights up and it kind of gives you that cozy drinking and hanging out vibe. You know, it creates a little bit of warmth. HGTV, thank you so much for coming out, and can't wait to see you next time.
Hi, HGTV. I've been waiting on you. Come on in, let me show it all to you. I started my blog, Design Addict Mom, as a way to showcase my love for color. As the name suggests, I'm an addict. I really, really love color. And the spaces I design show that. This is the foyer. It gives you an idea of what to expect when you enter the rest of the house. These pieces are really sentimental to me. These are handmade in Jamaica. Growing up in Jamaica, there's color everywhere. The facade of homes, people's personality, just joyful and colorful. And I wanted that to reflect in our home. We constructed this home with a builder, so I was very involved with the process. For example, here is this big arch, which I love, but he had these two columns coming on either side, which I thought would be too much and too overwhelming for the space. So I had him take those out, which he reluctantly did, but I'm happy. But enough about that. Let's go on into the living room. I have been having some fun with color drenching. I love how color drenching the space actually highlights the architectural features. And here you'll see my favorite color on display, which is orange. I love how I'm actually using this orange couch as a neutral. Can you believe that? Orange as a neutral. Yes, in my home it is. I believe I have a natural knack of mixing colors and combining colors, and to be able to incorporate those colors into spaces seamlessly. This candle I've had since before I had children. Now, I told you before, I love orange. I took this to the paint store, color matched it for this beautiful bookcase. These doors are sliding doors. And for reference, I do not use this candle anymore. It's merely decorative. I love the sunroom. It's just a joy going in there. I start my day with a cup of coffee, and it's just a very serene and calming space. This is Glory, my fiddly fig, and she was given her name by one of my readers on Instagram. She actually has her own Instagram handle too. I like to decorate Glory because she's so glorious. Look at her, so beautiful. She thrives in this corner because she gets ample sunlight and she loves it here. She just sits and glows. The sunroom is my favorite space, but during the summer months, I love spending time out here. Look at this tropical oasis. I would love to show you one of my proudest DIY moments with this sconce I thrifted. I cut the cord and I found this remote control bulb, and I just love doing this part. Voila. I recently painted this space butter yellow because I've been yearning to have yellow and pink together. That's such a great combination. So my colors have like a shelf life, you know, they change every 3 years or so. Whenever friends come to visit, they're always making notes of the changes. And I feel sometimes they come to visit just to see what new change I've made. I would love to take you to what I call my me spot, our bedroom. I opted for a more subdued color. And since I already had this vibrant mural, look at all these delicious colors. I can always get my color fix on this side of the room. Believe it or not, every night I cover the TV before bed because I consulted with a feng shui expert and she told me that mirrored surfaces across from the bed is negative energy. I could not let you leave before showing you my Lego collection, something I'm so proud of and inspired by our daughter, Cheyenne, who is a Lego fanatic. I love it. Look at this. Growing up in Jamaica, there were spaces that were off limits. That was just for adults. I knew I did not want that in our home. Each space, though beautiful, is approachable. This is our playroom, and it gets the most beautiful light this time of day. We are not formal people, and this was originally our dining room. This space gets used much more as a result. I don't like to have unused spaces, and repurposing a space to fit your lifestyle and to fit your family's needs is always a great way to use your home. This is one of our favorite pieces. It's very child-friendly. I use it as an ottoman, but I love seeing how Shine uses it. It's just a great tool for her to express her creativity. And one more hidden gem to show you, commonly known as a clothes, but I would like to think that I started this trend since this was done in 2014. This is another great example of using or repurposing a space that was unused before. I like that I can be here working and the children are right there next to me in the playroom. It promotes family time. No space is safe from color here, and this dark staircase was a great opportunity to get vibrant and bold. And I also did this beautiful diverse gallery wall, which adds some depth and interest. And speaking of interest, I know you'll find Shine's room very interesting. Her room is an expression of her personality. She's very joyful. And she recently told me she has 3 favorite colors, and you're looking at one of them here, which is this pink. This is probably my favorite space in Shine's room. I love this wallpaper, and it was installed before she was born. Her crib was here. Recently, we refreshed the space because she's growing, and we placed this couch. It's been such a joy to watch how color has shaped her creativity. She's as joyful and as colorful as I am, and I love it. This was so much fun. I hope you're seeing colors.
Hi, I'm Amber, and this is my renovation story. When I moved in, I knew that I wanted to change everything. So before the pandemic, I was in San Francisco. I was working in tech in the city, loved living there, but I was also a side hustling blogger slash content creator. My business, Blessed Little Bungalow, I started in 2016. It was really just a creative outlet. My blog, I talked about my own home and just decorating different rooms and so on. And eventually people started hiring me to help them with their own homes because I wanted to focus on making sure that people knew they could create the home they loved on a budget. And that's what I did in my own home, and I wanted to help other families do the same thing. So it was a side hustle that kind of became a part-time job in addition to my tech career. And then the world stopped and the pandemic happened. I lived in a 450 square foot apartment, and even though I had everything I needed, it was pretty isolating. And so returning to Atlanta was super exciting. I wanted to find an older home, one that didn't take too much elbow grease to make changes, but I was comfortable, demoing if needed and making some updates. But this house was one of a few new construction homes being built in Adair Park. Very quaint bungalows that looked like those that were already in the neighborhood. So to find a new construction home that had the craftsman style, the charm, still, it was very builder beige, so I knew I was going to make changes, but I could make it my own. It was the perfect size for myself and my dog, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, and knowing that it was like 5 minutes from everything was just icing on the cake. And yeah, purchased it from across the country. The movers came in San Francisco, packed everything up. 3 months after, I decided that I'm tired of living 2 lives. I have got this interior design business and brand growing over here. All the exciting things that were truly just started as a hobby and creative outlet. I decided, hey, let's take a leap of faith. And so it was go time. When I moved in, I knew that I wanted to change everything. I wanted to keep the craftsman style charm. I wanted to make sure the home still felt like it was Southern and in the South, but I wanted to take my mid-century modern love, my love for color and pattern and texture, and create something that reflected who I am. We are in my living room. When you walk through the front door, there is no entryway, there's no foyer. So I painted the walls this beautiful mauve-y, purplish wine color. It greets you as soon as you walk in. It feels warm and inviting. So my house is not quite 2-story. It's like 1.5, I guess, so because of my loft space. So because of that, I have about 20-foot ceilings in the living and dining. I wanted to paint the whole space, but I didn't want to make it feel too dark. And then obviously with the loft ceilings, it might have been more expensive. Well, it would have been more expensive and a little bit more labor to paint all the way up. So I went only up about 5 feet and a few inches. And it's just a very cool design feature. A lot of architectural detail added with just paint, but also gives the opportunity to divide the spaces. I could have done the entire main floor, but decided to just do it in the living and dining space to give it its own personality. Rugs are an amazing way to separate spaces when you have an open concept space, and so I did that with this rug. It's very comfortable shag rug for myself and my dog, and you can see like all the feet of the furniture in this space are on it, so it kind of creates its own zone, if you will. And then in the dining room, I did the same with a boho rug underneath the table. I am obsessed with this table. You can bury me with this dining table. I love it so much. The base of it is just so beautiful, and it's its own piece of art. The chairs are very heavy, very comfortable, in this beautiful green velvet, and then brass on the back just for a little detail. The easiest way to update any home, I feel like, is with lighting. So this Sputnik light was not here. There was something much lower that was more traditional, and by swapping that out, it just gave the dining space its own little identity. So as you can see, a lot of changes, feels like a completely new space, but I didn't have to renovate my home to accomplish that. The kitchen was brown and beige. It was almost too brown. Like, I wasn't opposed to wooden cabinets, but these were almost too dark. They were like really blackish brown, and there was already limited light in the space. So I really wanted to make the kitchen feel brighter, more exciting. And my answer to that was a pop of color with the cabinets. One of the biggest changes besides the cabinetry in the kitchen are these new pendant lights. The pendant lights are, to me, like the earrings to go with the dress in the kitchen. And so the ones that were here before were kind of tiny, oil rub bronze, just not me. And so I took those away and added these fun pendant lights. They came in a smaller size, but I thought go big or go home, get the 15-inch. And it also gives a little vintage feel, like an ode to Atlanta and Waffle House. I just feel like it makes my kitchen island feel like a diner. I didn't have the dollars to do a full kitchen renovation, but I also didn't need to because it was a brand new kitchen, brand new appliances, and I wasn't mad at the footprint that was there. The kitchen is truly my little rainforest in my house. As you can see, I have a beautiful wall mural that has some of my favorite plants, birds of paradise, Monstera, and it's great to look at when I'm cooking. I'm really happy with how the kitchen came out and how colorful it is. My primary bedroom is my own little boutique hotel in my house. I wanted something moody, something that just concentrated on the bed itself. And so the first thing I did was paint the beige walls this beautiful navy blue. This king-size bed, I love the shape of the headboard. This beautiful chartreuse is a great contrast between this bed and the navy. And then when you look up, the first thing you see is this crazy, beautiful bright pattern of that chartreuse, navy, and lavender that you see in the rest of the space. I just love the pattern, the pop of color, the excitement that it brings, and it just has its own personality. It was the perfect opportunity to make a small space feel grand. The Juju hat is made in West Africa in Cameroon, and they are imported here into the US and dyed different colors. So I love this one that I picked out for the bedroom. I also have been to maybe about 30 different countries. So some of the destinations that are really dear to my heart, here's where I was in Luxor, Egypt. This is Positano, Italy, Kenya, Switzerland, Ghana, and Paris, because of course, if you love art, you have to have a picture of the Louvre. So I love traveling, and I wanted to kind of showcase some of my favorite travel memories in my bedroom. The last space in my house I want to show you is the upstairs loft. Come on. This is probably the most fun and exciting space in my entire house. It is the loft that I dedicated to my niece and nephews. After I moved in, upstairs became the storage space. I don't have a garage. I don't have a true large attic or basement space. And when my niece and nephews came to visit, honestly, Auntie's house was not very childproof. So I wanted to create a space for my niece and nephews to call their own. It is full of color, it's whimsical. I love the pattern that I added with the wallpaper. In talking with my wallpaper installer, Raphael was like, oh, this is gonna be a lot if we wallpaper everything, and there was no clear separation on this wall because it was open to the living room below. So we decided to just wallpaper along the bottom, and then in these cutouts where the windows are, we continue the wallpaper up. But I love, similar to downstairs, how it's just kind of halfway, so it doesn't feel too dark, too small, but also it's just a completely different identity than downstairs. And then I just created different zones for my niece and nephews to play. So there's a snack bar, there's arts and crafts, there's board games, there's a desk if they want to be on their Switch or play or do homework. And then this sofa pulls out into a sleeper sofa for all the slumber parties. This is their house. I just pay the mortgage. When you look at my portfolio on blessedlittlebungalow.com or my Instagram, all you see are color, pattern, fun palettes, like just very funky and ornate gold mirrors, a lot of gallery walls, artwork, like a mix of what I say is my style, which is mid-century modern meets boho glam, and a Crayola box like thrown in there. I am so thrilled with the way my home turned out. It's super colorful, it's inviting for any guest that I have, and I just feel like it's a true reflection of me. It's bubbly, it's unexpected. There's a lot of color and culture and art, and I don't think I'll ever get tired of seeing it every day.
Welcome, I'm Dani Dazey, and this is my renovation story. Come on in. Palm Springs is only a few hours away from LA, so it's a really hot destination spot. And in the 50s and 60s, it was a huge hub for celebrities, and so many designers came out here and built vacation homes, and it became this town known for design. Specifically mid-century design, funky colors, prints. Palm Springs is full of personality, and I love Palm Springs. My mom was from Palm Springs, born and raised. My grandma, a lot of my relatives live and lived out here. And I saw this house, and it was actually in my price range, and it was so cute and so special that I just fell in love with it right off the bat. And we didn't even have like a big plan to rent it out at that point. We didn't really have any plan at all. We just loved the house. And then over the past 6.5 years, We've been slowly renovating one project at a time as our budget allowed. Owning a home was something that I was striving for so many years, and this is the house that ended up being my first home. And this space is actually what kind of launched my interior design career. I'm a print, fashion, and interior designer known for my use of bold colors and fun prints. It's just really cool to like finally get it to a place after all these years where it feels, I want to say finished. Nothing is ever finished, but it really feels like it's in such a good place. And I'm so proud of where we've gotten it to. It just really feels like a place of self-expression, and taking people on a tour through my house feels like giving them a little peek into who I am. One of the things that drew me to this house was how much curb appeal it had, with that gorgeous mountain backdrop and that statement orange door and the cactus garden. And it had this really cool PVC pipe sculpture in front. And from that moment, I just decided, okay, this house is gonna be an orange house. So I really leaned into the orange, and I wanted this home to feel rich with texture and with color and with the artwork and the wallpaper. You're kind of have this whole like visual feast as you step in the door. We did do some big changes with this house, but we did get lucky with some pretty good bones. It's so cute how it has this little dining nook right next to the foyer, next to the kitchen. It's just flooded with natural light. You get that Palm Springs sun. So it's just always the most magnificent light. We have the gorgeous landscape right outside, and it just has that awesome view of the cactus out front. And it's such a nice space to like sit and work or enjoy breakfast. Like, they don't make houses like this anymore. One of the biggest changes we made in this house was the floors. They were painted concrete and they were painted gray.
As if it's almost trying to be actual concrete.
They were peeling and they were really difficult to clean and keep up with. Changing it out for tile was the best decision we ever made. Like, these floors never look dirty. They sweep up super easy. They're so durable. They're so like cool temperature-wise. Of course, they're cool also. And it was a labor of love. My husband and our friend who's a contractor really busted it out. I was helping as much as I could too, getting all of the separators out and roughing up the floors.
Here is the heavy-duty grinder we use to get all of the concrete paint off the floor, leaving the beautiful concrete.
It was like weeks of living in renovation land, which we've done quite a few times, but it's never fun.
Meanwhile, these two lazy bones not giving us any help at all.
It was a journey, but it was so worth it. They're the first thing people notice when they walk in. Guests of all ages, like hearing their responses. Kids are like, whoa, like this is so cool. And even like older guests will come in and will be like, wow, are these like the original floors? Like, this reminds me of that era. And it's just this really cool experience. Like, design is an experience, and I want to woo and wow people wherever I can. When we originally got the house, I loved the original kitchen. It was preserved 1959 William Kreisel pegboard kitchen. All the old appliances were built into the cabinetry, and we tried to preserve it as best as we could. I ended up painting the pegboard. At one point, the city did decommission our oven. We even had like an oven guy come seeing if he could fix it, and he said, I can't actually even turn this back on because it's been decommissioned by the city. So we were out of options at that point. And at the end of the day, the kitchen needs to be a kitchen. So we had to make a renovation here. The way that the cabinets are still has that mid-century feel. And of course, we got all the amazing vintage-inspired appliances. And I really tried to bring in other retro tones. It feels so 70s and fun. People always think it is the original kitchen, but it's just a really good homage to it. If you use design right and you use print and color right, you can really work with any color and make it look awesome. Another really impactful change we made in this house is change out all of the lighting fixtures. There was essentially no overhead lighting in this house, so we had to have all of these put in. Just really helps bring light to this house, but also swapping out The lighting adds so much to the design. Like now here's this whole moment right here. It makes such a statement. It's so cool. And I think it just really gives it that fun Palm Springs mid-century feel. People come visit this city wanting to experience that era, that architecture, that design. So I want to give it to them. The living room had amazing bones, but it was all white walls and gray floors and zero personality. So that was the first order of business. How can I bring some color into this space? We still did keep a lot of the white walls because I do love how much light it brings into it. But I also just love an accent wall. It can add so much fun and personality. And this wall is really special to me because all of this artwork behind me is original artwork by my grandmother. She never got to see the house, and she's been a huge inspiration to me as an artist. And as a designer, I love color and bold design, and she always used the most amazing color in her artwork. And this was one of the first things we did. We got this house 6.5 years ago, and it's still one of my favorite walls, not only at this house, but that I think I've ever designed because it's so special to me. Sort of like a collaboration between my design and her artwork, and it's just really cool to have a space to honor her and her amazing work. I like trying to find balance between like these orange accent walls and then the splashes of color in the kitchen, and then you'll find the colors repeated in the furniture or the artwork. And then it's really just about spreading that throughout the room. It feels really 70s and authentic, but it's fresh and new. And I think a lot of things in this house feel super mid-century, but are kind of brought to the modern era, and you're able to experience it in a way that feels authentic, but also not dingy. And I love it. Down the hall, we have our bathroom that is a mix of original design and some fun touches. One of the coolest things we did was reglaze this vintage sunken tub. And it's one of those details that we wanted to keep. I mean, how fun is this like retro sunken feel? And the color is so much fun. Like you can't find a tub like this in this color. So reglazing is an awesome option if you want to add some color to it. We had a pedestal sink in here, and your girl needs some storage, so we swapped it out for this nice vanity. We changed out all of the lighting. We didn't do a whole lot in this bathroom, but just by paint, reglazing, and swapping things out, we were able to essentially create a totally different bathroom. And at the end of the hallway, we have our 3 bedrooms, starting off with our guest bedroom. It really leans into the yellow, almost has like a little bit more of a Joshua Tree vibe than a Palm Springs vibe in here. It's a little more earthy. There was zero lighting in here. And we redid the floors as well. And this sort of like yellowy orange, mid-century pattern works really well with this room, and it also really works well with the bedrooms. And it's also the same tile that we use in the backsplash of the kitchen. So it's tied in different areas of the house, even though the floors are different. And I sort of love that there's like a different experience as you go into the bedrooms, like a little surprise, a little change. I think it's a really nice and peaceful guest room. Here we have a multi-purpose room. It serves as an office, a guest room. We really needed a space that was versatile. And this is a pull-out couch. It's one of the most comfortable pull-out couches. We've had it for the 6.5 years we've had the house, and it looks amazing still. I also added this mural in recently, painted it myself. It's like paint by numbers. Such a fun way to tie in a lot of the different colors we have in this room. I start to bring a little bit of blue into here, and I also tie it into the next room. So this little office / guest room is actually connected to our primary room. We added these little curtains in for privacy when we have big groups staying here. And originally we were thinking we were gonna close it up. It just made sense to have more bedrooms. But then after spending a little bit of time here, we decided we really liked how it felt like this grand primary room. And it also brings in light from this side of the house. It just creates a lot more light in the room. As you can see, I bring in a lot more of the cool tones in this room. And then I found some other pieces like the really cool velvet bed, the artwork on the wall, the vintage light fixture that bring in the orange the yellow, and the blue, and make it all make sense. I feel like it's a really big departure from the rest of the house, and it gives you a different experience as you walk in. I love to create as many different moments and experiences as I can. Back in this office, we use the blue as well. And so everything's tied nicely together with a bow and looks great. There really is a relaxing vibe in these rooms. It's just really magical. One of my favorite things about California design and mid-century design in particular is the indoor-outdoor lifestyle. I really wanted the outside to be a whole nother living room for people to hang out in. So we created a bunch of different vignettes, a really cool fire pit, hot tub to the cowboy pool. I think our yard is a cooler cactus garden experience than some of the public cactus gardens that there are in Palm Springs. And you get it all to yourself in our big private yard. It's just the coolest place, and we love spending as much time as we possibly can out here. Nothing beats the feeling of working really hard and then seeing the finished result, especially when you do it yourself or do it by hand. It's just that much sweeter to enjoy the finished result. This home launched my career as a designer, and it was my first home, so it's really meaningful to me. And it's actually nice to come here and feel like you can relax instead of feeling like you need to repaint the cabinets or caulk the tile that fell off in the kitchen. It's really just, to me, one of the most special places on earth, and I just feel honored to call it my own and be able to share it with others.
So we moved into this home in early 2021, and slowly but surely I've been redesigning and decorating each room. I search for vintage and antiques everywhere. People always ask me what's my favorite antique mall. There's not one. Like, I love them all. Hi, I'm Dorothy Collier, and this is my HGTV home tour in Memphis. I am a full-time studio artist. I paint oil paintings, I do some acrylics, and most recently, over the last couple of years, paint murals. I describe myself as the maximalist Grandmillennial artist. Maximalist, I just want to have all the color, all the things stuffed in. When designing a home, it's kind of hard because that means a lot of collecting over time, but this is such a big space, so it kind of gets lost in the space. Welcome to my home. We are in the foyer. The centerpiece of it all is lots of dried florals, even like some fake Lego florals. So the centerpiece of the foyer tablescape is my kind of obsession recently, is all the chinoiserie. And so this is one that I found in an estate sale. Blue and White is a collection that was handed down from my grandmother. My grandmother owned 2 antique stores, a Heritage House in Greenwood, Mississippi. The other one was called Streeter Spencer Antiques in Nashville. Actually, we are sitting in my favorite spot. This is kind of where I have my morning coffee and I read. We just painted this room. It's so bright in the mornings, and it just makes all of the pieces that I found that are really colorful pop. This paint color is Chantilly Lace. It was recommended to me by my cousin, River Spencer, who is a well-known interior designer in New Orleans. I have found these egg chairs. This is like the most fun focal point. It's like, it sounds kind of like a little oasis. It's a great reading nook. Got my bird collection. It kind of was one of those things where I started designing and finding some pieces, and then I was like, oh my goodness, I have a lot enough to put on a mantle. Over here I have my chessboard collection. I love finding the little marble ones. I was at an estate sale with my 8-year-old and he started playing chess, and so got that for him, and then just thought how gorgeous and pretty they were, so I started looking all over for them, and so that's been something fun to collect as well. We love to host, and the bar is always open here. This was a really fun find. I had it rewired, but it was well worth it. This chair I actually made when I was in college at Ole Miss, and that was my humble attempt at up a chair. Welcome to the dining room. It is, again, one of my favorite rooms. We purchased the home with this color already on the walls, and I loved it so much. It's like a kind of a peachy coral. These candlesticks were a Valentine's gift to myself last year. This peacock is the first peacock painting I've done of many over the years, and I've paired it with the sideboard that I repainted, and I love these little like crystal ball knobs I found. I had these chairs recovered in this awesome fabric that my artist friend, local Memphis artist Kyle Taylor, had with his Memphis toile pattern. He was selling the design with blue on white as a wallpaper, and I was like, can you please make it into a pink pattern? So more chinoiserie. Again, these are always rotating when I'm finding more and then selling, and they're coming and going. So it's always fun to see the cycle of them. I have one of my paintings from a Positive Vibes series that I did. So this is just a mantra. Since this is an older historic home, I still want to have my twist without negating the history of this home. I think that accessories really kind of like bring to life the fun. So I've got needle points that are a nod to the timeless, but then fun modern twist. This is my most recent DIY little craft. About 2 or 3 years worth of needlepoint finds. I was collecting them. I knew I wanted to do something with them. I was kind of thinking I would recover a sofa or a love seat, but I found this blank dollhouse. Lots of different fun needlepoints. We've got like a fawn, animals over here, lots of florals, and then the jacquard ribbon and some tassels to complete the look. My proudest DIY moment for this home is the painted back staircase. With our third child, I started having like nesting hormones right away, and that back staircase was this gross dated brown carpet. In like week 1 of knowing I was pregnant, I was ripping it up. I would do like one color all the way down and then let it dry, go back up the stairs, another floral color. So it was kind of just like a pet project that lasted way too long. I love painting murals. It'd take a lot to paint another staircase. The stained glass is the focal point of the home. This was an addition from the third homeowners, the Gratzes, Dr. and Mrs. John Gratz. Mrs. Gratz was Susan Birch, maiden name, and her father, Lucius Birch, was Martin Luther King's lawyer during the sanitation strike. So it's a little Memphis fun fact. I love that the previous owner matched this wallpaper with it. Great busy pattern, but when you step back from it, it really just ties it all together. This is the primary bedroom, and I kept a very calm blue. It was already painted this color with these curtains. They were already here, and I loved them. Of course, I'm gonna love them. They're chinoiserie. I have this Artemis Diana bust collection. I think I started with this one, and it just kept on evolving once I realized that I could put my jewelry on it and style it on the radiators. These old homes all have radiators. It's a really warm heat. It feels really good. So it's here to stay, and it's just another surface to style. This is kind of my vanity area where I get ready in the morning. I really love my brass swan mirror. That was a really fun find. I don't know if I've ever found like a bed frame that I really love. I feel like they're either so old and about to fall apart, or they are too modern for my taste. I found this screen on Facebook Marketplace. It had some tacky like green jewels on each of the peacock feathers, and I rub and buffed it because, you know, adding gold makes everything better. A recent find were these lacquered nightstands. Paired it with our dog Oxford's portrait that my mom painted as a holiday gift 1 year. He is now 12 years old. We got him right after we were married, and so it's very sweet. He's like, we call him our forever puppy because he never grew, and he's just a little lap pup. We recently finished the primary bathroom renovation. It was a closet, but everything fits. My favorite part of this whole room is the vanity, where I found the sideboard down the street in an antique mall and paired it with these blue and white bowl sinks that I found on the internet. This room was a very deep, kind of deep powdery blue and had a shag carpet. So we kind of made it into a deep study feel with this burgundy to match the stained glass. The windows I wanted to keep open in here so that the light coming in, the afternoon light, comes through the stained glass and it really lights up the foyer. Up atop the door frame, I have the sign, the original sign from Heritage House, my grandmother's antique shop that was in Greenville, Mississippi. I remember like pulling up to her shop and knowing that it was going to be like a little escape and that I'd always find something new. The new nursery, I wanted to go with a little circus theme. It's kind of like what was finding me when I was looking for pieces. I found these incredible cutouts from an event planning company. They had this tiger that was jumping with a party hat. I was like, that's perfect. Over the bed, I wanted to highlight the cute little baby boy clothes that my husband once wore and my oldest son wore. So we have his Coca-Cola overalls, and this is my favorite, the little dribbler basketball. We are a basketball family. Loved this piece. It was very bright and very fun, of the Oxford Square. I also found this carousel at an estate sale, and it has been already very loved by my children. It's been glued back already a couple of times, but the craftsmanship on here is just amazing. My tip for finding vintage, or if you're wanting to start a collection, is like, I would just say what speaks to you, and then having like 3 to 5, 7 odd numbers. Styling in odd numbers is really good because it makes your eye keep flowing. Find one-offs, and then, a year and a half later, you'll have found 5. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more home tours just like this.